Hello everyone and welcome back to part 2 on how to make an egg hatching system in Roblox. So, in the past tutorial I've showed you guys how to make a nice server-sided cooldown as well as making the proximity prompt work and making it server-sided. And in this tutorial we'll be making the egg display and shake. Now, we'll be using either viewport frames for this or placing the entire egg in front of the camera. Now let me show you guys how this works. So if I go for example to a game, let's choose for example Tapping Gods. If I go and join any game, let me just explain to you guys how this works. So let me check if I'm still recording. Yes. So here I am in Tapping Gods. Let's wait for this to load. And okay, this seems to not be working. Okay, it's finally loaded. So let's go for example to a random egg. I have no idea why this is taking ages to load. Okay, this is taking a bit too long. Okay, so it's finally loaded, and as you can see, if I go here, if I go ahead and hatch an egg and zoom in, as you can see, it's clipping through the through the egg mesh, which means that they are actually placing the egg in front of the camera, not using a viewport frame. So let me try that again. So as you can see, if I do that, it will clip through the egg, as you can see. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that. So how can we achieve a similar effect? Well, it's very simple. All we have to do is get run service and place the egg in front of the camera. So let's do that. So we have the egg module server. Now we're gonna have to add another module script, and we're gonna rename this to egg_system or egg underscore module underscore server. I mean client, not server. So after making this, we will be having a variable for run service. So local run service is equal to game.conf get service run service, and local replicated storage is equal to game.conf get service replicated storage, and local players is equal to game.conf get service players, and local player is equal to game.players.local player. And then we're gonna have a variable for the camera. So local camera is equal to workspace.current camera. Now that we have the camera, we're gonna rename this to egg module, and here's what we're gonna be doing right here. So let me go check our egg hatching server, and we have this. So what we'll be doing is having some remote events, but we're gonna do that later. Actually, let's do that right now. So after in our egg server script, we'll have a reference to our module. So local egg underscore module underscore client is equal to require replicated storage, wait for child, and egg underscore module underscore client. Now after requiring that module in here, after the player hatches an egg, we will let me see. So we have that print can hatch. Okay, so we're gonna add a remote event. Actually, before I do that, we don't need this require right here. So add the remote event, add a folder called remote, and we'll add another folder inside of it, and we're gonna call this, actually never mind, we're gonna add a remote event to it, and this is going to be named egg underscore hatch client or client hatch, and we'll fire that remote event. So replicated storage colon wait for child or dot remotes dot client hatch colon fire client. Now we have the fire client. Now we're gonna have to send what client we want to fire this to, which will be of course the player, and the egg.name. Now we have the egg name and the player, so go back here and we're gonna have a function right here. So we're gonna do function. So before I do that though, I wanna go here and check what we have right here. So we have that. Okay, so we don't really need this module right now, but we will have a function hatch egg, hatch underscore egg, and we'll get the egg name. Now we have the egg name. We're gonna do local egg mesh is equal to workspace, or let's create a variable for that. So let's do local eggs is equal to workspace colon wait for child eggs. Now in here we're gonna do local egg mesh is equal to eggs colon find first child egg name, and colon find first child egg model, colon find first child egg model, egg underscore model. Now what we're gonna be doing is checking this egg model and checking if we have the primary part set to the hitbox, which is good, so we have it already set. So what we're gonna be doing right now is cloning that egg mesh. So if egg mesh is not equal to nil, then we're gonna do local cloned mesh is equal to egg mesh colon clone, and we're gonna do cloned mesh dot parent is equal to camera, and cloned mesh dot we're gonna create a connection. So in here, right here, we're gonna create some connections. So local egg underscore connection, and we're gonna just close that with a semicolon. And what we're gonna be doing right now is do a render steps. So egg connection is equal to run service dot render stepped colon connect function, and we'll do cloned mesh colon set primary part C frame, and we're gonna have that as the camera.cframe multiplied by cframe.new, and we'll do math, no, not math yet, but 0, 0, minus, and in that minus, we actually, before we add that minus, we will just do the cloned mesh dot primary part dot size dot z. Let me check if that's the correct axis. So I'm pretty sure it's the z-axis, yes. And we'll multiply that by 2. Multiply it by 2, and then colon inverse. Now instead of inversing it, we'll have to just put a minus right here. Maybe you can inverse it if you want, but I prefer using the minus. So we're gonna multiply that by cframe.angles, or actually let's see if that works. And before we do that, we're gonna loop through the each object in the clone the mesh column get descendants do, and if obj column is a if it's a base part, or obj column is a union operation, then we're gonna do obj.can collide is equal to false. Now you're gonna wanna go ahead and play the game. Or actually not yet. Stop. And add a local script inside of Star GUI, and we're gonna rename this to egg system client. And then we're gonna require the egg client, which is going to be replicated storage wait for child egg underscore module underscore client. Now we do have to get replicated storage, so local replicated storage is equal to game get service replicated storage. After doing that, we'll do replicated storage dot remotes dot client hatch dot on client event connect function egg name, and we're gonna do egg client dot and let's check. So egg client dot function hatch egg. Okay, function egg module dot hatch egg. So egg module dot hatch egg, and we're gonna send the egg name. Now if you go ahead and play the game, that should work, hopefully. So if we go here, hatch, and it doesn't work. Get descendants is, oh, I spelled get descendants wrong, which is pretty dumb, but that should be pretty easy to fix. Work circle and get descendants. I'm just going to copy it from here. Okay, so now if we go ahead and play the game, that should be working. As you can see, the egg is always in front of the camera, which is pretty nice, but we do have to remove the proximity prompt from it, which is also pretty simple to do. So else if the obj.con is a proximity prompt, then obj.con destroy, and that should be it. Let's see, so let's go ahead, hatch this egg again, and as you can see, the proximity prompt is not here anymore. Now we're gonna have to turn off cast shadow, so obj.cast shadow is equal to false. After doing that, we would just instead of just placing it still in front of the camera, we're gonna multiply that by cframe dot angles, or in fact let's make this a variable, so local cf for cframe is equal to, and copy all of this, multiplied by cf, and paste that right here. So cframe dot angles and 0, 0, and we're gonna need math.sin, which is pretty simple. You should know what this does if you are trying to make an egg system. So I can't really explain all of this right now, but it will take the time or tick, and we're gonna multiply that by egg hatch or egg shake speed, which will be a variable at top here, and local that, and we're gonna change that to 3 multiplied by that, and that should be it. And now we're gonna go ahead and check if this works. So as you can see, now the egg does shake, but it shakes very slowly, so we're gonna have to multiply that by 10 or even more, and let's see if that will work. And as you can see, that kind of works. Now I'm going to show you how to reduce the egg size. So local egg shake size is equal to 3. Now the bigger this is, the smaller it will be. In fact, let's make it inverted by multiplying it. So multiplied by egg size, egg shake size. Now if you change this to 0.3, I will divide that by, I will make it smaller. And as you can see, that kind of works. But if you change it to a bigger number, like 2, it will be hilarious. As I said. Now, we do have some problems with this. So we're just going to put this back to 0.5 and this to a higher number, like 12. And we'll have a little problem. So, why did we make a connection? Now, what are connections? So, connections are something that you can basically connect an event and stop it whenever you want. Because we don't want this to run it forever. So, what we can do is do egg_connection colon disconnect after 5 seconds. And let me show you what that does. So let's go ahead and hatch this egg. And as you can see, it will go on, shake for 5 seconds, and stop. And as you can see now, the egg is right there. Now, we don't want to just stop. We want to stop it after 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And then, instead of just stopping it, we're gonna destroy the egg. Actually, we're gonna disconnect it first and do egg mesh colon destroy. Or you can do something else. You can go ahead, play the game, and I'm pretty sure this will work. So we'll shake for 3 seconds and then disappear. And it did not work. Now, I'm pretty sure this is very simple to fix. And that is because we have to do cloned mesh colon destroy. Destroy, because I just spelled that wrong. And now if you go ahead and play the game, you should see some very smooth egg shaking. And as you can see, it will destroy. Now, we don't want it to just destroy, we want it to fade out. So, before we destroy it, we're just going to keep this right here, but we're going to loop through each object in the egg before even disconnecting the event. So for __ob, just copy this really, and we're going to do remove this else if, and in here we're going to do local tween service. We're going to get tween service first. So local tween service is equal to game, get service tween service, and in here you want to do tween service create and obj comma, and we're gonna give it a time. So tweeninfo.new and local fade local egg duration shake duration, and we're gonna set that to 3 seconds, and local egg fade duration, and we're gonna set that to 0.8 seconds. So in here we wanna do egg fade duration, and we're gonna have the transparency at 1. Now we're gonna wait the egg fade duration multiplied by 1.08, and we'll wait the egg shake duration. Or actually, before you do that, in here you want to do wait egg shake duration, and I'm gonna go ahead, hatch an egg, and it should shake for 5 seconds, 3, and fade out. But as you can see, it didn't really fade out. So we're gonna want to fix that because we did not even play the tween. So we're gonna play the tween. Now if you go ahead and play the game, you should see some pretty cool results. As you can see, it will fade out, which is really nice. Now we do have to still check if that will work with other eggs. So this should shake, and that's good. And we're gonna do the other one. Let's see if we can do 2 at once. As you can see, we can't because we are already I was gonna say fighting an egg, because we are already hatching an egg, and we can hatch this again. Now we're gonna, I think this is going to be it for today's tutorial, or maybe not, because we want something to happen after this. So we're gonna return hatched. Return hatched, or maybe just return true. And in here we're gonna do if. Actually, we're gonna change that to a variable local hatch is equal to that, and repeat, or repeat wait 0.1 until hatch is equal to true, and we're gonna print hatched. I just want to check if that will work. Okay, so that does work. I just realized that that was pretty useless, but it's not really a problem. We're gonna keep it anyways. So now, after doing that, we're gonna need to display the egg, the pet that we just hatched. So we're gonna have an egg folder inside of replicated storage. We're gonna have a folder called eggs, or egg pets, or just pets. And we're gonna have a pet inside of them. Now, I'm going to be using a pet pack, so I have it right here. So pet pack, and pet, and we're gonna look for a nice pet pack. So I'm going to look for Banyan Simulator 1 pets, and we're gonna just pick some random pets. So let's go for an egg for the lava egg, which is going to be these. So I'm going to pick this, and actually I don't really like those pets, so I'm going to go for these, which look much cuter. So I'll also go for these, and we're gonna put those right here. Now I'm going to get some ice pets, which will be these. I'm going to put those right here, and I'm just going to Control X those and just put back the pack, and we have our pets right here. Now we're gonna hide these pets. How are we gonna do that? Well, with using that folder that we just created. But before we do that, we're gonna set up each pet. Now we're gonna make sure that you have a part covering the entire pet. In this case, it's this head part. Why is it so small? Size. Okay, so in this case, it's this part right here. Let's make it cover the entire pet. Or actually, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing right now. But make sure you have a part that covers the entire pet. And add a weld constraint to it and weld everything to the pet. Let me show you how to do that. So we're just going to remove all of the welds from this. We don't really need those. Let me just omit this just to see if it will actually work. Okay, so these particles are pretty useless, so I'm going to delete those. Now we're gonna add a part that will cover the entire pet. Make it cover the pet, like that. And then you're gonna add a weld constraint to it and weld everything to it. So like that, part 0 to be the primary part, which is the part that you just added, and then duplicate it and set it to the other part. Now we're not going to be setting that up right now, so just add the part that covers the entire pet and then select the pet and go to primary part and set it to the part you just added. Now this pet already has primary part set. As you can see, we already have primary part, so we don't really need to do anything. So what we're going to be doing is taking this sun flare and setting up some values inside of it. So add a object value, and we're going to rename this to egg, and we're going to add a string value, or yeah, so let's add a number value, and we're going to rename this to rarity, and let's rename it to chance. And let's have this one as 100% chance, since we're not going to be coding the chances in this tutorial. But copy both of these values and paste them in every single pet that you have. So let's do that. As you can see, I'm just going to paste it into this. And let's say I added this pet. What pet does it belong to? Well, select your egg and select the egg that you want it to hatch from. So in this case, the lava egg. And I'm not going to worry about the chance that much right now. And also I'm going to delete some of these pets and only have 3, because it's just going to take a really long time to configure. But let's go for the sun cat. Let's check the egg. So the lava egg, select the doggy, and we're gonna just select the egg and change it to the egg. Now I'm going to have 3 pets here too. So the egg will be the ice egg, and for this one, again, ice egg, and for this one, as always, ice egg. Now you're gonna want to select all of these, put them inside of our pets folder, and here is what we're gonna be doing right now. So add a, let me think of this first. So we're gonna be using a viewport frame to make it easier for us to display the pet, and we'll also going to be using to make it rotate. So let's do that. So we're gonna add a function right here inside of our egg module client. Add a function display pet or pet viewport. And we're gonna get the pet name. Now we're gonna do local pet is equal to replicated storage dot pets, wait for child, or let's change that to a folder. So local pets is equal to replicated storage wait for child pets, and pets find first child pet name. And in here we're gonna check if that pet actually exists and that it's not equal to nil. Then after doing that, let me just make sure that I spelled this correctly. So pets, so if it's not equal to nil, then we're gonna want to display it. So we're also going to be needing the frame, and we will have a run service connection again. So we're gonna do local pet display connection, and we're not going to be using it right now. And here's the fun part. So we're gonna be having to make it display on the viewport frame. Now what is a viewport frame? A viewport frame is basically an object, a frame really. So just add a screen GUI, add a viewport frame, and it looks like a normal frame. It looks like a pretty useless thing, but let me show you what it does. So let's just change the size to 0, 100, or 500, 0, 800. And I'm just going to scale that down, put it on the center, and go to plugins, unit conversion, scale, and add a constraint. Now, a viewport frame will display any 3D objects you want, and it has some limits, which is displaying particles. I'm not sure, and I think shading and stuff doesn't really work with this. but we're gonna use it anyway. So we're gonna rename this to pet display, and we're gonna change the background transparency to 1 and visible to false. So we're gonna keep it at that, and we're gonna go back here. Now we're gonna do local camera is equal to instance dot new, or actually let's do local cloned pet is equal to pet clone, and cloned pet dot parent is equal to the frame. And then we're gonna do cloned pet dot that's it. So we'll have a camera, so we're gonna create a camera, and we're gonna, or local viewport camera, and we're gonna set that to instance dot new camera, and viewport camera dot name is equal to viewport, to just, actually we don't really need to name it, we're just going to have to parent it to the frame. Now frame dot current camera is equal to viewport camera, and after doing that we're gonna have the connections. So local rotation first, which is going to be equal to 0, and pet display connection is equal to run service dot render stepped connect function, and in here we're gonna do cloned pet set primary part C frame, so set primary part C frame, and we're gonna set that to C frame dot new 0, 0, 0, and let's think of this. We are C framing the cloned pet, and after doing that, all we're gonna have to do is create a variable for the C frame. So local C frame is equal to cloned pet dot primary part dot C frame multiplied by C frame dot new 0, 0, minus, or let's take the cloned pet dot primary part dot size dot z, and then multiply that by 2, or maybe 3, and we'll multiply that by C frame dot angles, and we'll be doing 0, math dot rad, I think, and we're gonna take the rotation, and we're gonna add a 0 again. Now we're gonna do C frame is equal to C frame dot new C frame dot p, comma, and cloned pet dot primary part dot position, and rotation plus equal to 1, and after doing that, before doing that, we'll do camera dot C frame is equal to C frame. Now we'll have to do that right here, so let's do egg module. Let's change this to a module function, and we're gonna do script.parent.screen GUI.petDisplay.visible is equal to true, and we'll do egg client.pet viewport, and script.parent.screen GUI.petDisplay. By the way, this is just a test right now, comma, pet name, and we don't have the pet right now, so we're gonna get the pet. So in the egg server thing, we will just choose random pet for now. It won't be any percentage right now, but we'll do that in the next episode. So local random pet is equal to math.random from 1 to hashtag game.replicated.storage.pets get children. Or let's do game.replicated.storage.pets get children and square brackets and that. So we'll also send, after sending the egg name, we'll also send the random pet.name. Now in here we're gonna return, we'll get the egg name, comma, and we'll also get the pet name. So instead of returning true, we're gonna return the pet name. And remove this repeat wait until, and we will, let me think of this. So we are hatching the egg, returning the pet name, and we'll also print the pet name. So print pet name, and in here we're also gonna be sending the pet name. So pet name, comma, pet name, and comma, pet name. Now if you go ahead and play the game, I'm pretty sure this is going to work. So let's see, so we're gonna hatch the egg, we'll shake, the frame will become visible, and we have somewhat of a problem. Okay, now I think I know how to fix this. Now this is very simple to fix, because all we're gonna have to do is go into the egg client and let's think of this. So egg viewport, pet viewport. Okay, so we're gonna do viewport camera.cframe is equal to cframe, because we don't want our actual cframe to change. So let's see if this will work. Now it kind of worked, but we have some problems with it, which is it does not rotate. So this should be pretty simple to fix, hopefully. So we are taking the rotation, cframe.angle was math.rad, rotation, and I think it's this. Cloned pet.primary part.position. cframe.new and cframe.p, which will return the position, comma, and clone pet.primary part.position. Let's try this like that, and let's see if that will work. So we're gonna hatch the egg, should hatch, and it does not really rotate, which is pretty weird, but we'll find a fix for that very soon. Now I think the best way of doing this is by rotating the camera, but I think I'm just going to do clone pet.primary part, clone set primary part cframe, and clone pet.primary part.cframe multiplied by cframe.angles 0, math.rad, and we're gonna do a 1 or rotation, comma 0, and then we're gonna do viewport camera dot cframe is equal to cframe.new cloned pet dot primary 0, 0, cloned pet dot primary part dot cframe multiplied by cframe dot angles multiplied by cframe dot new 0, or what am I doing, multiplied by dot primary part dot z dot size dot z multiplied by 3, and that should be working. Actually, it shouldn't, because we did not add a value to the rotation value, so it's not going to rotate. So rotation plus equal to 1, and that will 100% work. And as you can see, it's working, but it's too fast. So that should be very simple to fix. We're just going to change this to 0.1 and see how that works, and see if that will even work. As you can see, it works, but it's speeding up, and that's why we'll limit it by using, I think, math.min. So Roblox developer hub. So we're gonna look for math.min, I think. Math. I'm pretty sure this is math.min we're dealing with. So number, x number, okay. I think I know how to fix this. Instead of using a rotation value, we might want to just do 10. And as you can see, that works, so no need to use math.min to limit that. So I'm gonna do local rotation speed right up here. So local pet rotation speed, and we're gonna change that to 5. And instead of doing math.rad 10, we're gonna do math.rad pet rotation speed. And let's see how that looks. And as you can see, it will display our pet rotating, and which is great, but we need this to stop. So that is very, very simple. We'll just wait pet display. I'm gonna create a variable, so local pet display duration, and we're gonna change that to let's change that to maybe something like 2 seconds or 3, and we're gonna wait pet display duration, and we're gonna have a tween. So tween service column create and frame comma, and we're gonna do tween info.new 0.8, and then we're gonna have some curly brackets, and we'll need to do the image transparency, I think it's called, and we're gonna set that to 1, and we're gonna play that tween, and then we're gonna wait let's change that to a variable. So local pet display pet fade out fade speed 0.8. I'm going to change that to 0.8, and let's do twinfo.new pet speed and weight without speed multiplied by 1.05, and I'm just going to do pet display connection colon disconnect, and after doing that we're gonna do viewport camera colon destroy and colon spec colon destroy, and frame dot visible is equal to false. And also we need to clean up that mess in the egg system client script. Let's go to the egg this time. Also it will hash the same pass from any egg, but this is for that will be for the next episode. And as you can see, it will fade out, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to hatch another one of these. And it did not work, so that's weird. We'll try that again. Cannot hatch. Cannot hatch, cannot hatch, cannot hatch, cannot hatch, cannot hatch. So that's a problem we're gonna have to fix in the next episode. So let me see how this is. So we're just getting a random pet, firing the client, and let's rename some stuff. So you're gonna rename the screen GUI to egg GUI, egg GUI, and we're gonna have some variables up here. So local egg GUI is equal to script.parent colon wait for child egg GUI, and local viewport local pet display is equal to egg GUI colon wait for child pet display and we'll just do pet display dot visible is equal to true instead of doing all of this. So just do that, and in here you want to just do pet display, and in here we're gonna print, actually we don't need to print anything, we're just going to play the game and see how this is. So let's just clean up this output because this is just a plugin error and nothing happens. Okay guys, so I found the fix for that, and the problem was literally this pet display. I spelled it wrong, so I'm going to do pet display and I'm going to do it for child pet display. And the reason why the viewport frame wasn't displaying was because of this. So if you go back here and do frame dot image transparency and change that back to 0, and then put the egg system module, just remove all of the prints, we don't really need those, and that should be working perfectly. Now that was one of the weirdest bugs I've ever encountered. I can't believe I messed up an infinite yield. Okay, so let's try that again. Let's hatch this egg, and as you can see, it will display the pet that we just hatched, and we can hatch another one and it works perfectly. So yeah, this is going to be it for today's tutorial. If this helped, make sure to subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and I will see you all in the next tutorial. Bye!